Get started. I have you sit up next to Lori, and there's an agenda on your seat. Yeah. Oh. But, hey. Preset. Oh.
Oh, so can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad set bright stars through the perilous fight? Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
Order on. Right. Wait. Order on.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. Wow. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today in celebrating the official launch of the Collegiate Purple Star Initiative. Last year, Indiana became a leading state in the nation by passing legislation that champions the relationship between military-affiliated individuals and our post-secondary institutions by establishing a higher education Purple Star designation, commonly known as the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana. Each year, approximately 1,000 Hoosiers leave the military and return to Indiana to start the next phases of their lives, which for many will include pursuing higher education to secure a better quality of life for themselves and their loved ones, and to continue serving their communities and in meaningful careers. One way Indiana supports military-affiliated students is through financial aid. As a whole, our state ranks first in the Midwest and fifth in the nation in need-based financial aid. For military-affiliated students and their families specifically, Indiana makes available nearly $80 million each biennium. These financial aid opportunities include the National Guard Tuition Supplemental Grant, Indiana Purple Heart recipient, child of a deceased or disabled veteran, and more. By combining generous financial aid options with information and resources provided through the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana, military-affiliated Hoosiers have a friendlier marketplace now as they navigate Indiana's higher education landscape. Students will have a clear understanding of institutions that possess an intentional focus on providing a supportive environment from application to graduation for our military-affiliated students. We recognize that this extremely impactful legislation is for our military-affiliated Hoosiers, and the commission was joined in partnership by many in this great hall today, especially and including the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs that have been advocating for and now implementing this critical initiative. We are incredibly thankful for the partnership of that agency and of all of you. I also want to take time to thank Indiana's colleges and universities for their support and advocacy for the Collegiate Star of Indiana. You play a critical role in implementing this initiative with fidelity. Finally, I want to recognize the authors of this legislation, Senators Garten and Toms, and the late Senator Sandlin, for developing an initiative that will truly honor and support our Hoosier military-affiliated students. As part of the Commission's HOPE agenda, about which many of you have heard, it stands for Hoosier Opportunities and Possibilities Through Education. We are calling for Indiana to be a top 10 state in the nation in post-secondary attainment in a variety of ways, but especially and critically so for our veterans. This includes bachelor's degrees, certifications, associate degrees, and so forth. This is one of seven of our highest priority areas at the Commission. Currently, our state is ranked 47th in this measure for our veterans. Let me be clear, we can, must, and will do better. Military-affiliated individuals add to the fabric of the post-secondary educational experience and to our communities and to our great state, to the workforce and to our businesses. And Indiana colleges already have done a great job in showing support for this population. But again, we can do better. It is still difficult for some individuals to navigate the various supports and resources that are available on different campuses. That will begin to change. The Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana will identify the institutions that are leading the charge in supporting military-affiliated individuals to help make the transition from military service to enrollment much smoother, along with completion and next phases in life. Military-affiliated students will know where to turn to receive needed support and will be more likely to graduate. In terms of economic data, we might ask ourselves, what does this matter? Economic data and social data tell us it is an imperative. With each level of education, moving from no high school diploma to a high school diploma, to an associate degree or some college, and to a bachelor's degree and higher, there are marked improvements in things like the unemployment rate and the participation rates and wages and net wealth accumulation. There are also significant terms from the social factor. We know this, infant mortality is twice as high in a home of individuals without a high school diploma. Twice as high. The life expectancy difference across the same educational attainment spectrum is 13 years. 13 years. So yes, this matters. With each level of education and across these and other economic factors, there are marked improvements with no exceptions. We recognize it may take time for institutions to implement all the requirements to receive the highest level of recognition, Tier 1 Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana designation. That is why today, in partnership with the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, we are launching the official Collegiate Purple Star Field Guide. The Field Guide was created with and through input from the Indiana Veterans Education Pathways Task Force, which provided over the past year a voice to the issues surrounding current and former military members who are seeking post-secondary education. The task force was chaired by a friend, great American, General Erica Stewart, also a member of our commission. She is a strong advocate for military-affiliated individuals and consistently emphasizes the need for engagement of these individuals in our higher education structure. Erica was unable to be with us today, but if you don't mind, let's take a moment to recognize her work in this regard and her service to our state and our nation. The 37 standards laid out in the guide ensure institutions provide resources to military-affiliated students that will reduce barriers, increase support, and improve overall educational attainment. The field guide details and provides examples of all standards so institutions can improve upon with fidelity and implement on-campus initiatives prior to the Collegiate Purple Star application opening January of 2025. Additionally, informational webinars will be hosted beginning in June of this year to learn more about the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana and other military-related initiatives. These webinars are free to attend and will provide the opportunity to answer any questions. The field guide and links to the webinar series can be found on our website. That's cag.in.gov by simply looking under the Adult Strategy tab. While this is voluntary in terms of participation by the institutions in the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana designation, I will say today, you are being encouraged by the commission, by this commissioner, to do so, to show the commitment of what our institutions in our state might be. This work cannot be done in the vacuum on campuses, though. I encourage our institutions to look beyond the Veterans Affairs offices and leading charge to make sure that this is in the fabric and culture of our institutions. This will require an all-hands effort from many departments on campuses, from admissions to academic affairs, marketing, student services, financial aid, and more. But I know there are the challenge. We cannot ignore and we must embrace this opportunity to honor those who have made the greatest sacrifices by serving all of us and our country. And the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana is one meaningful way to help make that possible. Again, thank you for joining us today in this celebration. On behalf of our higher education institutions, the governor, our commission, we're grateful. We appreciate your partnership and for joining us today. I look forward to working with you in future collaborations as we honor and serve those who have given so much to all of us, our great nation. Thank you.
The ability to complete the Collegiate Purple Star Field Guide could not have been made possible without the efforts of the Indiana Veterans Education Pathways Task Force and those members. They were instrumental in laying the foundation for what will become the Collegiate Purple Star Award, whether they knew that at the time or they were doing it. But they were instrumental in developing the system we have now. It is my privilege to introduce Lori Spread, one of the co-leaders of the Indiana Veterans Education Pathways Task Force for the Student Support Program, as well as the Director of Veteran and Military Benefits at Ivy Tech Community College. Lori, we appreciate you. Tell us about your experiences.
Hello, my name is Lori Sprague. I'm the Director of Veteran Military Benefits at Ivy Tech Community College and an Air Force veteran. I had the privilege to serve on the Veteran Education Pathways Task Force created by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education in response to Senate Bill 384 that was passed by the General Assembly on April 20th, 2023 to establish a Purple Star designation. Task Force was led by Major General Erica Stewart, Task Force Chairman and Commission Board Member. The first meeting was February 1st, 2023 at the Indiana State Library. The agenda was small, but the task was large. The general presented a very ambitious timeline as we were tasked with getting recommendations ready to present to the commission by July 24, 2023, a mere 5 months and 23 days later. 25 people from both public and private institutions of higher learning, state agencies, and community organizations stepped up to come together for one common goal. The goal is to increase educational attainment among Hoosier veterans and military-related populations. And the objective is to increase by 5,000 the number of veterans and military-affiliated individuals who pursue a certificate, associate, or bachelor's degree at an Indiana secondary institution by 25-26 academic year. There were 3 working groups of the task force: credit for prior learning expansion, communication and navigation, and student supports. Each group consisted of 8 to 9 members who also had to meet outside of the monthly meetings to tackle each of the strategies to be able to make that tight deadline of July 24th. Task Force then met collectively on a monthly basis to touch base and give updates on each of the strategies. We presented our ideas to the group and received feedback from our partners. One task force member even retired from their job during this and still called in from their vacation to give an update for her. Each group was given a very large undertaking because nothing of this nature has been done in Indiana at this state level, only by individual institutions. The first group, credit for prior learning, bringing up the military CPL as a significant yet untapped opportunity in Indiana veterans, employers, and institutions. Giving veterans credit for what they know is critical to their success academically and professionally. The recommendations were structured in 3 pillars. Pillar 1, base recommendations. Institutions should accept American Council on Education's recommendations for academic credit, as well as faculty and subject matter experts to refine these recommendations specific to their institution's value and programmatic requirements. Pillar 2, standardized and transparent credit. Create standard reactive and proactive credit opportunities, and credit decisions need restored equity and efficiency. And pillar 3, enabling policies. Policies ensure eligibility, applicability, and utility of the military CPL. And military CPL needs to be incorporated into program design and development. For this to be effective, there must be training and then implementation. It should also include a centralized web source for students to access. As a result, this fall, military credit requirement and training sections will occur in conjunction with CHE statewide CPL training. The next group was communication and navigation. Their charge was to identify opportunities to improve education-related communication processes and resources for veterans and military affiliated individuals who are navigating through various stakeholder insights. This group noted that there is a need to develop a communication toolkit for multi-agency use for resources and benefits which are already available. Be located in one website for using others. The third group, student supports, were asked to identify opportunities to support and improve veterans' choices and preferences. I served on this committee as co-chair with Steve Bibia, Education Service Officer of the Indiana National Guard. The survey consisted of 36 questions ranging from student services to education and faculty and staff, such as all Indiana languages. Regarding what kind of services were currently offered at their institution for military affiliated students. 21 institutions responded, and it resulted in 47 actions to be considered when awarding the Purple Star designation, which later became the foundation of the Purple Star Field Guide standards. Additionally, our group felt that although an institution of higher learning may be smaller, it does not mean that they should be excluded from participation in the Purple Star designation. This inspired the three-tier award structure within the field guide. The task force recommendations and the field guide are available on the Collegiate Purple Star and the web page. The final recommendations were indeed ready by July 24th and then presented to the Indiana Commission on September 14th. The biggest concern from the task force was that we would do all of this work and then the state would reallocate funds elsewhere. The commission proved that they are truly invested in military affiliated students. As a new director for adult program implementation, Steve St. John was in his first week on the job in the audience during that meeting. I am sure I speak for all of these task force members. We would like to thank the commissioner for his levity. Major General Eric Steverman, Dr. Stacy Townsley, Associate Commissioner for Adult Strategy, and the commission members for the opportunity to be part of something bigger than this. In Indiana, not only increase education on team for veterans and military affiliated students, but to do it in an intentional and purposeful manner to help them achieve their education goals.
Well, I get the pleasure to introduce our next speaker. I first met Morgan here in these halls when she was a legislative aide for a couple of senators. And she highlighted herself to me a couple of ways. First of all, she was a Boilermaker. That was very good for her to highlight that. Secondly, though, she served and was serving. And then she highlighted her outstanding work that she did. For a new LA in 2019, she was impressive. The amount of work that we asked her to do and the immediate responses, the connectivity, the concern for our veterans was impressive. And I didn't know anything about it. Over these years, I've learned a lot more about Morgan, and you're going to hear more about her in a minute and more from her. She is advanced, and she now is the director of the Veterans Success Center at Purdue, a place that she holds dearly to her heart. She is also on my commission, so she's one of my commissioners. We have a commission meeting tomorrow. So she, when she moved up there, said, we need to get someone from education on our commission. Morgan was such an outstanding person to be the first one to be on our commission. So with that, I want to introduce Morgan again.
Good morning, everyone. Today is a very exciting day. Today is truly a reflection of the collective efforts and collaboration put forth by our great state of Indiana. Our excellent leadership who led the Collegiate Purple Star Initiative, and many of the universities who were involved in the process. This initiative brings forth motivation for our universities and their campuses to seek and learn how we can best set up our military affiliated students for their success and continued success. I am truly so thrilled about this mission. And the collaborations have truly been near to my heart. As Dennis said, for the introduction again, I am the director for the Dorothy Stratton Veteran Military Success Center at Purdue University. We serve over 2,000 military-connected students in a variety of capacities. All of you, by the way, will absolutely benefit from this piece of legislation as we at Purdue look at our own programs and procedures and hopefully do seek that purpose of recognition. I'm not here, however, to share with you exactly what we do within our office, so I can assure you it's a lot. I'm happy to speak with you after this about some strategic initiatives that I'm excited about that we do on campus and to connect and speak collaboratively. But I am here to share with you all my journey to higher education. So let me paint a very clear picture. I had just graduated from high school. And the last thing that I remembered about college was that I had applied. Thank you to my high school counselor, and that I had gotten accepted via the Common Core app. That was the last thing that I remembered because my time was wrapped up getting shuffled very quickly to the next stint of military training that I had to do. So the next training that I had to do, my phone was locked up in a locker. I'm sure that some of them might resonate about that. Phone was locked up in a locker. I didn't have access to internet. It was truly you wake up, you train, you go to sleep, you wake up, you train, you go to sleep, and stinks and headphones. Okay, good, we're familiar with this. So that's what I was doing a few months prior to going to college. What I should have potentially been doing was touring campus, maybe getting a meal plan, housing contract, these types of things that you would typically do to prepare yourself to go to college. I was not doing these things. Now, this training came to a conclusion and we all graduated, and I found myself in a home back. Thank goodness. So I got my phone, and I got some documents very descriptive on what I was to do next in the Army. And I had what felt like just a duffel bag to my name, very nicely positioned at my feet. And if I looked to my right and my left or behind me or in front of me, there were about 600 other soldiers in the exact same situation. Phone in hand, orders to go back home or wherever their next station was supposed to be, and a duffel bag. And we were all supposed to wait for one yellow bus to take us all to the airport. There's like 600. So I had nothing but time on my hands. Turned my phone on, and I had received hundreds of emails. Hundreds of emails. And I was very overwhelmed simply due to the fact that all school, the first day of classes was in a few weeks. In a few weeks, and I had done nothing to prepare myself. Another factor to this equation is that I am, and there are quite a few service members who are first generation college students. So I was not waiting for my parents or mentors or advisors. Hey, what is it? What is a meal plan? What is a joint service transcript? What is the GI Bill? What are these things? And I probably should know something about them, but I didn't. Now, I turned my phone on, these hundreds of emails were all sorts of excellent notifications from the university about, hey, sign up for STAR, sign up for my tuition. And then there were the notifications where you're past due, you haven't done these things, you need to do these things. And there were them. And I had no idea where to start. I received these emails, but I also received some text messages, and I received one text message from what's called Mikhail at Purdue University. This text message said, hi, this is Kyle. I'm at Purdue University, I'm a Purdue student. You're my mentee. My records indicate that you're an incoming military connected student. And I said, yes, Kyle, that is all factual information. What can I help you with? And he said, well, have you filled out your paperwork for this yet? And my response, word for word, was, Kyle, I know about some more. And I think that response comes from two types of worries to be made. I didn't understand all the welcome programs around service member connected education benefits. is okay for, I did not know that I qualified, likely qualified for GI. I also have the understanding that in my response, I'm not a veteran. I have the understanding personally that I likely probably don't qualify for benefits until I've either been employed or have gotten that veteran status, which, by the way, what exactly is that? Don't Google it, because there's several definitions here. So I was very confused, did not know where to start, but Kyle was convinced that I had a GI Bill, and I said, you know, Kyle, all 600 of us were waiting for the scale of us. I have nothing but time. How can I help you? Like, help us right now. And he said, you know, give me this information. Okay, I gave him that information. I need this. Okay, I need this. He would screenshot things and would sign things. This is a student at Purdue. It's a grassroots program at Purdue. And we're just going back and forth before you know, it says, okay, we're in good shape. We've got this GI Bill. You need a few more steps. We've got your GI Bill set up. And you know what I wanted to do to all of those hundreds of emails that I had? I wanted to reply to every single one of them and be like, guess what? We got the GI Bill. Very excited about that. Now, after he had gotten past that hurdle, I said, Kyle, can I tell you? I don't know what a meal plan is. And he said, yeah, totally, call me. So I told him. And we went through these things. And he asked me, you know, what do you have questions about? I said, why do I need a meal plan? Why do I need housing? Another factor of this is I'm also 18 at this point. You know, some 18-year-olds. Okay. These were not things that I was going through my brain, okay? Securing housing, securing food meal plan, all these types of things. We had a very long conversation and I had sat on my duffel bag for several hours and I'm watching the sun go down. And I'm sure I just come my train soon to go to the airport. But I want to say this because there were immediate barriers and there was immediately someone there willing to help me through all the things that I had to do, which I had no idea these were things I needed to be doing. We set up a pretty good foundation for a launch pad for me to start my freshman year at Purdue University, and I truly credit that conversation and that program for having done so. It was truly a net that taught me. And I can confidently tell you all that in those moments of receiving hundreds of emails and understanding that I was only applying, that I truly reconsidered going to college. How could I not, right? I was a few weeks out and I didn't know what the plan was. Now, on my first day of classes, not only did I go to class, I also visited the Veteran Military Success Center. And I like to say that I just didn't quite leave. The difference is, though, between being a military affiliated student versus a traditional 18-year-old student did not stop there in my initial hurdles. There were many times where I needed support of professional staff, procedures, programs, things of that nature to assist me and to truly make a difference. And I found at every corner someone willing to help me. Today is a celebration of a statewide effort, outside, in fact, a challenge to move the needle when it comes to supporting military affiliated students. Because I can assure you that I was not the first service member experiencing this, and I will absolutely not be the last seeking great details when it comes to assistance on military education benefits and likely feeling overwhelmed and only behind. In fact, I do want to share this with you all, that our very center, the Veteran Military Success Center at Purdue University, it exists because a group of students had advocated for professional staff to help them walk through all the varieties of military education benefits. That's why we exist. And many other programs are grassroots ideas, such as the peer program that I explained earlier that had a profound impact on my access to higher education. There are 37 standards within this initiative that our campus can look to when thinking creatively. All of them have been curated carefully with much collaboration and perspective in mind. I'm not only excited for our universities to truly move the needle, but I'm profoundly touched by the effort as one of those military affiliated students. Thank you so very much for having me today. It was truly an honor.
Morgan, thank you for these words, these inspiring words you delivered today. I feel like this story. I'm inspired each time I hear it. Thank you for your hard work in this effort, and thanks for your leadership. It is now my honor to introduce somebody who has just, over the last year and a half or so, really just become one of my favorite people. We spend time together, and it's my honor to do so. Just as it is my honor to introduce to all of you our keynote speaker, Major General Dale Lyons. General Lyons currently serves as the 59th Adjutant General of Indiana with the Indiana National Guard. His years of service to our nation have long. Prior to leading the Indiana National Guard, General Lyons served as Deputy Chief of Staff Operations of the National Guard Bureau in Virginia. His command and staff positions during his long military career include having served as Camp Atterbury's Plans and Operations Officer and as the Scatatuck Urban Training Center Command. He was deployed to Bosnia in 2002 and Afghanistan in 2004. It is, as I said, just a great honor to introduce to all of you one of Indiana's great. I'll say personally, thank you, General Lyons, for your service, and in this instance, specifically, your leadership in helping make the Collegiate Purple Star Initiative a reality here in Indiana. Please join me in showing our appreciation.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. You know, everything's going well until Weimer looks over after he says, "Good luck football her." See how well you do. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today. So before I get started, to the men and women in uniform today, and to all of our veterans, thank you. Thank you for the service and the sacrifices that not only you made for our country, that you're making for our country, but those that your family have made for our country as well. The United States of America faces no shortage of adversaries right now. And I'll tell you this, for almost 40 years of service, what stands between good and evil is the military. And I'll tell you another thing, the all-volunteer force is at risk. There are 77,000 short, men and women short in the Army right now. I won't get into this role, but I'm a little passionate about this. And anything that we can do to bust down the barriers and to increase the service, to increase the membership of our services is absolutely needed today in our society. And what everybody, every stakeholder in here today has been a part of this great project, and it's going to go a long ways in looking to increase the opportunities for the men and women of this nation to serve in our armed forces. So Commissioner Lowry, Commissioner Weimer, thank you. Distinguished guests, it's my honor to be here today at today's ceremony, commemorating the launch of the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana. On behalf of the 12,000 soldiers and airmen I represent, I want to thank the Indiana Commission for Higher Education for their amazing support to the Indiana National Guard. Your education, scholarships, and care have impacted the lives of thousands of Hoosier Guardsmen. I want to also thank the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs for their partnership on this project and for your daily efforts and care for our Hoosier veterans. Thank you for all that you do for each and every one of us. I want to start my remarks this afternoon by giving a short history of the United States 20th century invention of rewarding military service and education benefits. In 1944, the country was preparing to reintegrate almost 16 million war veterans back into civilian life. President Roosevelt enlisted the help of the American Legion to propose a program that would help prevent post-war unemployment and economic depression. The Legion drafted the parameters of what is now known as the GI Bill. The Legion called this bill the GI Bill of Rights, accentuating this new American social contract between military service and a follow-on promise of federal college assistance in exchange for that service. But when the first GI Bill was signed into law, it put higher education within reach of millions of economically ordinary veterans. While the Marshall Plan set the course for the European recovery, it was the GI Bill that paved the way for unprecedented prosperity in the United States for the second half of the 20th century, and more than 8 million veterans received GI Bill benefits after World War II. And the number of Americans with college degrees doubled between 1940 and 1950. After World War II era GI Bill expired, federal education benefits for veterans have been adjusted in various ways, such as through the 1984 Montgomery GI Bill and the current post 9/11 GI Bill. Other federal education benefits were also created. In fact, the first national federal student loan program designed to encourage students to pursue science and engineering was part of a military defense bill, which was drafted in response to the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik satellite and the U.S. falling behind that space program. Education benefits for military service go beyond federal benefits. The National Guard is unique for its dual state and federal mission. As a result, most states augment federal education benefits with state education benefits as a reward for service in the National Guard. Indiana has one of the most lucrative programs, providing what amounts to free tuition at any state school for the moment of enlistment, And as of last summer, you can now use the National Guard Supplemental Grant to cover up to $5,000 in tuition in private schools. Today, the Veterans Administration estimates that every year, almost 1 million veterans attend college using their educational benefits. Despite these lucrative benefits, the military is facing the most difficult recruiting environment since the inception of the all-volunteer force in 1973. Consider the following. Across the state of Indiana, for all services, we've seen 40% drop in recruits from 2018 to 2022. This is not merely a bad stretch, but it's a crater of a pool of new recruits and veterans. The recruiting crisis is a national security risk. For example, when you combine the loss of authorized end strength in the United States Army, the country's Army has lost 76,500 personnel 2019 to 2023, the equivalent of between 5 and 7 combat infantry divisions in authorized end strength. One thing we do know is that it's becoming increasingly difficult to get the word out and tell our story. Young people avoid advertisements and traditional media. The media landscape is fragmented and messages must be tailored to each source platform. More youth receiving negative impressions and being less trustful of information about the military. The tragedy is this: the National Guard and all services offer Gen Z everything that they want and everything that they need. Financial freedom, benefits of possibly of debt-free education. We just cannot get the word out that it needs to do better. And because we have a smaller veteran population than ever before, veterans may feel like they are not understood and find it tough to fit in. Veterans may feel out of place when entering colleges or the workforce because the culture is different. Using federal education benefits can be complex, and veterans often need personalized staff and counselors to navigate the process. That is why it is so important to have programs like the Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana.
I first heard about this program from my friend Chris Lauer, and indeed we met about a year and a half ago and in collaboration ever since during one of our regular educator community leader lunches that we do together. Chris explained the program and I thought it was brilliant. As I thought about it, not only does this Collegiate Purple Star Award Service serve to provide a better support environment for military affiliating students, but it also is the basic foundation for the relationship between colleges and universities and the military and veterans communities. We now have further reason to be reliant upon each other, whether it is community engagement, opportunities, or student support service objectives. The Collegiate Purple Star gives the necessary connective tissue and playbook for having meaningful, dynamic relationships between the military, veteran community, and higher education. I'm excited about those possibilities. Consider me an advocate. In closing, I want to say this by setting a few ambitious goals in support of which I intend to lend the full weight of the Indian National Guard. It would be wonderful to see all schools to receive the National Guard supplemental grant containing some college, some level of Collegiate Purple Star of Indiana certification within a year. I would also like to encourage colleges and universities to consider employing veterans and members of the National Guard to help bridge the perceived civilian-military divide. Too often, veterans and military presence on campuses is limited to ROTC departments. Today's military is the most educated in our history. Please consider them for meaningful roles in higher education. I'm standing here today for you because of the education opportunities afforded me by military service. I am forever grateful to the military and what is the opportunities that it has offered me and what it has done to take care of both me and my family. And so it is my honor to be here today amongst the stakeholders that believe in the military, that believe in service, and that want to create opportunities and break down barriers for those that have an attitude and a desire to serve their state and their nation. God bless each and every one of you. I look forward to continuing to drive this program to success. God bless you and God bless Indiana.
To conclude everything. So my name is Dennis Weimer. I'm the director of the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. I know I'm between you and some water and some other work that you got to get done. But I wanted to highlight a couple of things. I learned a while ago that if you're including and you're following some great people speaking, you may not want to write your speech because they might take 5 or 7 pages of your speech and say it themselves. So I did that. But I get the benefit of taking some of the things that were said and highlighting them. Why is this important? General Lyle stated some very specific reasons why this is important. Commissioner Lowry talked about why it's important. Or I talked about why it's important for our students. Or I talked about all the work that was important for what we did. 6 years ago, I was not in this role. I was working at a university. And they were asking a question about what they were going to do with a dorm that they had. And we started talking about the history of that dorm. And that dorm was built, one reason, to house ROTC cadets. There are almost no ROTC cadets. There were 4 ROTC cadets at that university now. And they did it at IUP. They had lost their connection to their strong military and veteran past. And they didn't know what to do with it. And I look around our state, look around our institutions, and we have such amazing connections today. And we've had such an amazing history with those connections that we need to make sure in things like the Collegiate Purple Star in our universities to make those connections again. Historically, General Ives talked about the GI Bill. So what he didn't say was that was drafted in Indianapolis. 777 North Meridian on the 4th floor. They drafted it. They probably drafted on the 3rd floor that voted on the 4th. That's what I heard. They drafted it, took up the 4th floor, and then connected with all of the members from across the nation to vote on it and send it to their legislators. Well, that same group is meeting next week here in Indianapolis again to talk about the important things for today. I'm blessed to have that, one of those desks from that fourth floor that was refurbished in my office now as a continual reminder of what amazing things have been done here in this state. Morgan and others talked about partnerships. I happen to have the benefit of being the president of our national association, so I partner with all of my colleagues across the nation that lead Veterans Affairs. I don't think any state does partnerships as well as Indiana does. It's hard. It's not easy to connect with other people that don't always have the same vision that you have, that don't always see the things that you see, and you don't know what they're doing. But if you look at what was done to get to the point that we're at today, and we already talked about all of that, the partnerships that we have in the state are critical and are amazing. It is impressive. With that, I want to send them a couple thank yous. Major General Studerman's not here today, but when I first met her, I had just taken the job. She walked into my office. She was the chair of my commission. Here comes a two-star general, retired. We have the same background. We were both Purdue 220 Air Force RJC graduates. She comes over and gives me a big hug. I looked at her. I was a captain of the Air Force. I looked at her and said, I'm a little uncomfortable being hugged by a two-star general. And she said, I'll be hugged all the time. So I don't know if that's true or not. General's never hugged me, so it's okay. But just Air Force, yeah. She is an amazing leader, an amazing individual. Just a singular representation of what this state has in its leaders, in our military, and in our veteran corps. Commissioner Lowry, another amazing individual. First met him probably over a decade. I think he was still working in civilian life or just took over at Ivy Tech. Actually, I think he's still working down in Batesville. And recognized what an amazing leader is that he is. When he took over this role, knew that our Commission for Higher Education was in great hands. When I was a student at Purdue, I helped write, lobby, and then get turned down a piece of legislation to put a student on the Commission for Higher Education. Is there a student on the Commission for Higher Education, Commissioner? Still today. It took a little bit more work after I left school, but others carried the water. And it makes so much sense to have a student on that commission to give that perspective. So my connection to what Commissioner Lowry does today was back a long ways, also quite ways. And then lastly, I want to thank this task force. If everyone who has touched this work as part of this task force could please stand, I'd like to give you a round of applause. Please stand. If you have communicated, even if you weren't officially, you participated, please stand. Thank you very much. It took a lot of partners from across universities, the Guard, the state, the private sector, nonprofits to develop what we have here today. And it is typical Indiana. Outstanding, done together. And now we have the hard work to see where we go from here and what we do with it. And now it will be the folks across the state that will take this to the next level. And as part of this program, I'm excited to see what that will be. So with that, I'd like to conclude. Steve, I have the ability to conclude with Steve. Good, okay. So I'd like to thank everyone that is here. Thank you to our speakers who took the time to be here and gave us great information and great kickoff for this program. And now it's all of our responsibility to see what happens and be a part of it. Thank you very much.